Hi, Bobby Ellis here from Soma Yoga Training. Today I'd like to work with twisting, or a better word is spiraling. You know, your body listens to every word you say. So how you frame something when you're starting a movement, inquiry, or exploration can be a really important thing to consider. So if I say twist, that's very different than a spiral, right? So we can play with both words and see how your body responds to them, right? I want to talk a little bit about the spine before I actually take you through some explorations of a spiral. When we think about the spine in movement, many times we just think about the spine going forward, the spine going backwards, the spine going lateral, side to side, and the spine rotating, right? And that's more of, let's say, bigger movements. And those are fine because those are primary movements that we probably use every day. Your spine is where your longevity lives. In other words, where you feel vital, right? And we live in a culture today where we're needing to sit a little bit more. We use technology, and sometimes the spine can get very locked down in a certain position, right? So this is an opportunity to have a sense feel to see, like, where can I start to move my spine inside of itself? So you have vertebra, and then in between each vertebra is a disc, and inside the disc is fluid. So each vertebra can move in a myriad of ways around those discs. And when they can have an opportunity to do that, your spine can have increased amounts of flexibility, mobility, strength, and ease. So just with what I just said, can you go inside your spine, just sense and feel your spine, and remember your spine is more at the back of your body. The front of your spine is way behind your ribs, behind your lungs, right? The spine is behind all the digestive organs. So you want to see if you can sense that. And then see if you can start to just have some non-linear explorations in moving your spine. And if there's some stiffness or some pain, always make the movement smaller or take the movement somewhere else in your spine where you don't feel that too much, just for now. So you're just going into very tiny little micro movements, just sensing what's possible in what Bobby is inviting me into right now in terms of moving my spine more from the inside. Vertebrae, discs, fluid. You also have a dural tube that runs through the center of the spine. It takes your cerebral spinal fluid from the base to your brain, bathes the brain. And you can feel and sense some movement up in the cervical vertebra where your head meets the neck area. And sometimes the cheekbones, you can move them around a little bit because the upper part of the spine kind of connects into those bones and then they wing outward. So just sensing that. When you can move more interiorly, really sensing your anatomy. And I want you to hold that style of movement as we come into exploring a spiral or a twist, okay? So I'm going to do a reclined twist or spiral. I like to use a little bit of padding on my mat, and you can use more than one blanket. You want to make it nice and comfortable for your body. So sometimes the spine doesn't like a hard floor, so it depends. Lie down. And bend your knees. We're going to start with a double knee down twist, and then I'm going to give you some other variations to try, remembering that they're invitations and you're paying attention to the wise sensations your body offers you and making adjustments as you see fit, right? So you don't have to listen to anything I say, really. Listen to your own body. And then just as you lay here, if you can have your arms outstretched, if the arms outstretched is not working for the shoulders, just find a position for your arms that works, right? And sometimes you can't get the arms flat, so you could put them on some blankets, right? So whatever you need to do to prop yourself to feel fully supported, if you need a little thin blanket under your head, and then bring the knees up to the ribs, not grabbing them with your hands, just letting them be there. And this gives you an opportunity to just elongate the lower back a little bit. And then just seeing if you can start that little bit of micro movement on the inside, that's soft. It's almost like drifting around in a pool of water, because that's actually what you're doing. Your body is water-filled. The bones are even made of 40% fluid. And then when you feel ready, you're going to take your knees over to one side. It doesn't matter which side. And say you get to right about here and it doesn't feel very good, right? You want to put something under your knees or between your knees so that you feel comfortable, right? One of the things that I love are Gertie balls. They're children's balls. You can buy them online. And I like to have them slightly or sometimes a lot deflated. So you can put one ball under your knee and one ball between the knees. And this gives you a sense of buoyancy in your legs, right? So that you can continue this little exploration in more fluid, varied movements. You can make little spirals, perhaps. Now, say your arm over here isn't working, you can bring it to your ribs, right? You don't want to have too much of a pull in this part of your arm. I don't mind that, it feels okay to me, right? If you don't want the balls at all, you could just bring the knees onto the ground. And I always start with just, what can I do here in my pelvis? Can you take the pubic bone back? Can you take it forward? Can I move my top hip? Can I move my bottom hip? How does that start to trail its way up into my spine, right? So that's why we call these explorations instead of postures, because we're exploring from the inside. The body is made of just wrapped things, right? And we start to really engage with fascia or connective tissue when we can move this way in a shape or a posture, right? And then the movement may become a little bit more interesting up in the spine itself. And then the shoulder may want to have a little dance. And so I'm doing these very small little micro spirals inside the rotation because my spine is rotating. The hips are rotating to the right, the rib cage is rotating to the left. I like to keep my head straight. Feel free to put your head where you want it. You can turn it back or you can turn it towards the right side, whatever works. And you could even get your neck involved a little bit. So you're creating this little nice fluid movement inside. And then whenever you want to, you can just come to a resting point where you let go of that movement and you're just breathing in the posture. And then you're feeling the movement of breath. Like where's the breath go? Where is it taking me? That's one way to notice breath. The other way is to send the breath. So I can send the breath somewhere that I need a little more space or movement. And you could play as long as you like on this side. And then I always like to just take the top knee up first, and nice and slow, and let my back body start to rotate back to the ground. The other knee comes along. And then letting the legs lengthen out, straighten out your body if you need to, and just sense, like, how do you feel after doing that? And then when you feel ready, you would start the other side. And I want to say something about one side and the other. Many times, one side of the body, the other side of the body is not symmetrical. So treat them as individuals, even though they're in a unified whole. So I'm going to leave you with exploring on the other side, using your balls or blocks or bolsters to support you if you need it. And thank you for exploring with me today in spiraling twists.